Have you ever wondered why some guys just seem to naturally draw women towards them like magnets, while others, maybe even you, feel like you're invisible? Today, we're diving into the top 5 habits that can turn the tables in your favor. Stick around because these tips might just change your game. 1. Confidence is key. First up, confidence. But let's get something straight. We're not talking about arrogance. There's a fine line. Real confidence is about being comfortable in your own skin, knowing your worth, and not being afraid to show it. When you walk into a room, own it. Speak clearly, make eye contact, but remember, it's all about balance. Overdo it and you're cocky, underdo it and you're invisible. Let's talk about confidence with a story. Imagine there's this guy, let's call him Alex. Alex was never the loudest in the room, nor did he have the flashiest clothes, but there was something about him. One day, at a friend's party, everyone's hanging out, chatting, and there's this girl, Jess, who everyone wants to talk to. Now, most guys are trying too hard, talking loudly, showing off, or just hovering around her like satellites. Alex, though, he's different. He walks over, not with a strut, but with a calm, easy walk. He smiles, says hi, and introduces himself like he's genuinely glad to meet her, not like he's trying to win a prize. He doesn't dominate the conversation. Instead, he talks about his recent trip where he got lost but found this amazing little cafe. He laughs about his misfortune, showing he doesn't take himself too seriously. But here's the kicker. He then asks Jess about her favorite places she's traveled to, giving her the spotlight. This is confidence in action. Alex didn't need to brag or be the center of attention. He was just himself, comfortable and self-assured. He didn't fear rejection. He was there to enjoy the moment, and that made Jess and everyone else take notice. Women see this, they feel it. It's like a beacon. They think, why is he so cool under pressure? What makes him so sure of himself without showing off? That's what confidence does. It's not about thinking you're the best. It's about not having to prove you're the best. And that, my friends, is magnetic. 2. Listen more than you speak. Here's a secret weapon: actually listening. Women love a guy who listens, really listens, not just nodding while planning what to say next. Ask questions, show interest, remember details from past conversations. This habit shows you care, and trust me, that's attractive. Let's dive into the power of listening with a story about a guy named Ben. Ben wasn't the best-looking guy in his group, nor was he the richest. But Ben had something special, and it showed one evening at a coffee shop. There was this girl, Mia, who worked at the shop. She had seen all sorts of guys trying to get her number with quick lines, or by showing off their latest gadgets. But Ben was different. Every time he came in, he'd order his coffee, and instead of jumping into a pitch, he'd ask her about her day. Simple, right? One day, when the shop was quiet, Mia was visibly upset. Most customers didn't notice or chose to ignore it, but not Ben. He asked if she was okay, and instead of giving him the usual, "I'm fine," she opened up about having a tough week because her dog was sick. Ben listened. He didn't just hear her words, he listened with his whole attention. He asked what kind of dog she had, what they liked to do together, and shared a small story about his childhood pet. The next time Ben came in, he remembered to ask about her dog. He showed genuine interest without making it about him. And here's the thing. Mia felt seen, heard, and appreciated. Over time, this simple act of listening turned into conversations, then laughs, and eventually, Mia looked forward to Ben's visits more than anyone else's. By truly listening, Ben showed he cared. He wasn't just waiting for his turn to speak or to impress. He was there in the moment with her. That made Mia feel special, and guess what? It made Ben stand out. Women appreciate that more than you might think. They want to be with someone who listens because that means they're with someone who cares. 3. Cultivate your own life. Number 3 might surprise you. Have your own life. Be passionate about something, whether it's your job, a hobby, or fitness. Women are attracted to men who have their own world because it shows you're not just looking for someone to complete you. You're already complete. This independence is magnetic. Here's a story about Chris, who learned the hard way that having his own life was key. Chris was a nice guy, always there for his friends, and he'd drop everything if someone needed him. But when it came to women, he found himself constantly friend-zoned or just not noticed. One day, Chris decided to change things up. Instead of always being available, he started focusing on what he loved. He had always been into photography, but never took it seriously. So he joined a photography club, started going out every weekend to shoot new places, and even entered a local competition. At one of these outings, he met Sarah. Unlike other times when Chris would immediately shift his plans to fit around whoever he was interested in, this time he was different. He was friendly and engaging with Sarah, but he also talked passionately about his photography. He had stories about his adventures, like the time he climbed a hill at dawn just to get the perfect sunrise shot, or how he accidentally joined a bird-watching group thinking it was another photography meetup. Sarah was intrigued. Here was Chris, not just chasing her, but chasing his own dreams. He invited her along for one of his photography walks. She saw him in his element, focused, joyful, and creative. Chris wasn't just waiting for life to happen or for someone to fill his time. He was making his life interesting on his own terms. This independence, this passion for something outside of the relationship, made him more attractive. Sarah found herself wanting to be part of his world, not because he needed her to complete it, but because he was complete on his own, and that was compelling. Chris's story shows that when you're passionate about your own life, when you have your own adventures, hobbies, or goals, you become more than just someone looking for love. You become someone worth loving. 4. Kindness and empathy. Next, let's talk about being kind and empathetic, not just towards her, but to everyone. Kindness shouldn't be a strategy. It should be who you are. Open doors, help out, show compassion. These actions speak volumes. They say you're strong enough to be gentle. And that's a trait that gets noticed. Let's talk about kindness through the story of Dave. Dave was never the richest or the most handsome guy at the community center where he volunteered. But he had something that made everyone, especially the women, notice him. Genuine kindness. One cold winter evening, there was an event at the center. Most people were inside, enjoying the warmth and the company. But Dave noticed an older lady, Mrs. Thompson, struggling with her car in the parking lot. Everyone else rushed past, eager to get out of the cold, but Dave didn't. He went over, offered his help, and realized her car battery was dead. Instead of just calling for roadside assistance and leaving it at that, Dave drove her home himself because she was worried about her cat being alone. He didn't have to do that. He could have just stuck to the bare minimum, but that's not who Dave was. The next week, word got around. People at the center started seeing Dave in a new light. Not because he bragged about it, but because Mrs. Thompson couldn't stop talking about how kind he was. Among those listening was Emily, a volunteer who always thought Dave was just another face in the crowd. Emily saw Dave differently after that. She noticed how he always had a moment to help someone lift a heavy box, how he listened when people talked, really listened, and how he'd give up his seat for someone else without a second thought. His kindness wasn't a show, it was just him being him. This genuine kindness made Emily and others feel that Dave was someone special. Kindness, especially when it's selfless, shows a depth of character. It tells people, here's a man who will care, who will be there, not just for the good times, but when things get tough. And in a world where kindness can sometimes seem rare, that stands out. That's what made Emily start looking at Dave not just as another volunteer, but as someone she wanted to know better, someone whose kindness made him attractive in a way that looks or money couldn't. 5. A sense of humor. Lastly, but definitely not least, have a sense of humor. Life's tough and everyone's looking for a reason to laugh. But remember, humor should never be at someone else's expense. A good laugh can break the ice, reduce stress, and create a bond. It shows you don't take life too seriously, and you can make her life more enjoyable. Let me tell you about Mark, a guy who could make anyone laugh, even on the gloomiest of days. Mark wasn't the life of the party by being loud or by doing crazy things. His humor was more about timing, wit, and seeing the lighter side of life. One time, Mark was on a first date with Anna at a somewhat fancy restaurant. Everything was going fine until Mark accidentally knocked over his glass of red wine, splashing it across the white tablecloth and his own shirt. There was that moment of awkward silence, where most would panic or get embarrassed. But Mark? He looked at the spill, then at Anna, and with a playful grin said, "Well, I guess the table was wanting some wine too." Anna burst out laughing. Instead of the date being ruined, it turned into one of those memorable moments. Later in the evening, when they were walking outside, it started to rain unexpectedly. Most people would run for cover, but Mark took off his jacket, holding it over both their heads and said, "Looks like the sky's joining us for a dance. Shall we?" They ended up laughing, dancing a bit in the rain, turning what could have been a disaster into a playful adventure. Anna found herself charmed not just by Mark's ability to laugh at himself, but by how he made an ordinary, even potentially embarrassing, situation into something fun. His sense of humor showed her he could handle life's little mishaps with grace and a smile, making her feel relaxed and happy around him. A sense of humor like Mark's does more than just make people laugh. It tells someone, I'm not going to take life too seriously. With me, you can find joy even when things go sideways. And that, right there, is incredibly attractive because it promises a life filled with laughter, not just with him, but through the challenges life throws at you both. So there you have it, the top 5 habits that could make you irresistibly attractive. Remember, these aren't tricks or tactics. They're about becoming a better version of yourself. Before you go, if you found this helpful, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell so you won't miss out on future tips. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or what topics you want to see next. Also, check out the links in the description for more resources that can help you on this journey. Thanks for watching, stay awesome, and see you in the next video.